So, good afternoon, students. So, some some student ask doubt, right? What is the difference between program and programming, right? So basically, the program is the instructions which we give to the computer, right? So that's we called as a program. So that's a noun, right? But programming is a verb. So the process of giving instruction or the writing codes we called as a programming. But the codes are the program. So that's a noun. This is a verb, right? So that's the basic difference. So let me share my screen. So today is your second lecture. So earlier lecture, we will discuss about the basic programming, right? So programming means nothing, but the instructions which we have to given to the computer, right? Because computers are the machines, they can't think and they can't act, right? So you have to give the instruction. According to that only computers can act, right? So if you give a wrong instruction, then that program run as a wrong, right? So for that, we have to be careful when it comes to writing a program, right? So earlier classes, we discussed what's a computer and what's a computer program and programming languages, and majorly we discussed three types of language, right? So what are those three types of programming languages? Can somebody answer? Or in the chat also you can put. So what's the three types of programming languages we
C, Python,
discussed?
Java.
Machine language.
No, Python, Java is the examples of languages, but we
High
have,
level, low,
Machine language.
yes,
Machine
machine.
language.
high
Language.
level,
Assembly
Okay,
language.
okay, I got that. So that's programming language. We have three types: machine language or machine code we call, then low level language or assembly language, then high level languages. So what's the example to the high level language?
C,
Yeah,
plus
whatever the languages
C++,
you learn, C++, Python, Java, or whatever the language, programming language you will learn. So that is comes under the high level languages, right? So that's very close to the humans and a little bit far to the computers, right? So next we discuss compiler and interpreter. So what's the compiler? What do you mean by a compiler? So okay, so if I write a code, right? If I write 1,000 lines of code, then if I debug those code at once and get the output like errors and the output only one time, then which type of eh, compilation is this? Only one time only I get the out. Only one time only I get, not compiler. Compiler is the one only one time. You have to scan or you have to go through the code only one time, but whole, right? The full code you scan or you compile at once, only once, and give the output after finishing all the document, right? After finishing 1,000 lines of code only, you will give the errors and the outputs, right? But when it comes to interpreter, line by line, each line you will get an output, right? So the overall time which take too much of time to finish all the code, overall time.
Interpreter.
interpreter.
Interpreter. Why it is to take too much of time?
Line by line execute code.
Because it's line by line, give the output, and again it has to go from the start to end, right? So that's why it takes so much of time. But when it comes to giving an output first, which is the firstly which give the output?
Interpreter.
But that is not full output. But as well as that, when it comes to questions, if they ask which compiler or interpreter give the output first, then you can tell as an interpreter. And high level languages mostly used which compiler or interpreter? Compiler. Yeah, right. So very good. So these are the things so far we discussed. So today also very important class. Today we have to discuss about control structures or logic structures, right? When it comes to the programming course, you have to aware of the terms, right? Because we have some important terms in here, right? So in here, we called as a control or logic structure. So what do you mean by control or logic structure? The name itself, it denotes. Control means you have to give instruction, right? So if your father and mother control, you say, sometimes some students say, our family or our parents control us. Control us means they give some instruction, right? So you have to wear like this, you have to go to that places, these places. So they give some instructions, right? So in computers also, we have to give, so as a human, so not all the humans, the programmers need to give control structures to the computer, right? So basically, we have three control structures, three types of control structure, right? So in each program, you may have only one control structure, or you may have two control structure in one program, or altogether the three programs can have in your each code, right? So for the moment, you have to think control structure or the logic structure means. Sometimes in the questions, if you memorize the word control structure only, but in the question I can ask what is the logic structure, right? So on that time you may confuse, right? So for the moment, you have to understand the subwords also, right? So control structure or logic structure means the computer programs, we have some structure for write a computer program, right? So using that structure only, we have to write a program, right? So in here, we have majorly three types of control structures, right? One is sequence structure, another one is selection structure, last one is repetition structure, right? So these control structures control the logic of the program. Logic means, so in previous practice, you have to write. So you have to do a exercise like you have to write a square, right? So in there, the each blocks from the start to end, you row a pen or turn 90 degrees. So those stuffs are instruction. So those stuffs are program. So in that thing, you didn't write using programming language, you just drag and drop. So the procedure is same. That is also programming, right? So you are did some task, right? So draw a square is a task. In that task, you give some instruction, which means you give some programs, right? So for that, you are programming. Sometimes you can so in that case, it is drag and drop, but it's also a programming. But doing that programming, we have to think when it comes to that is a easy scenario. So when it comes to actual programming scenario, we have to think which control structure I have to use to solve that problem, right? So when it comes to programs, we will give scenario like draw a square, draw a circle. So that is one scenario. So for that, you have to think which control structure I can use, right? For that, you have to understand each control structure, right? So for the moment, you will learn we have three types of control structure, and those control structures are very, very important. So for the first control structure is sequence structure, right? So the name itself, it contains sequence means, what do you mean by sequence? Sequence.
Line by
one by one, right? So one by one. So that's the same meaning in here. So if you write a program from the beginning to end, then that is sequence structure, right? So in one code, you can use sequence structure and repetition structure, or sequence structure and control structure. So likewise, you can use all three. If that is necessary, then you can use all three, right? So first first control structure is sequence structure. Sequence structure mean when you follow a step by step instruction from the beginning to end. You can't follow, you have to follow two terms. You have to follow step by step instruction as well as from the beginning to end, right? So when it comes to that drawing a square, so are you following the sequence structure?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right. Why? Because we give the instruction step by step, as well as we give from the beginning to end, right? From the starting the pen to ending line, or till the ending line, we give the instruction. So that is a sequence structure, right? So another term is very, very important when it comes to programming. You have to know. Sorry. So algorithms, right? So you may heard this word. Algorithms mean it's a step-by-step instruction, right? So in previous lecture also, you did an algorithm, right? What's the algorithm you did? So there is a trick, right? So rather than drawing with the pen, you have to turn 90 degree. So that is a trick. So that trick we called as an algorithm. So when it comes to programming, when you write a program, the algorithms are very, very important, right? So um, if you know a programming language, not only that is not only make you as a programmer, right? So you have to know the algorithm as well as programming language, only you can write the program, right? So in previous scenario, that's why I gave you that group work, right? So the previous scenario, if someone know the Scratch, right? The person who knows Scratch, drag and drop, and where is that drag and drops, and he or she know all the stuff in Scratch. But if he or she didn't catch the algorithm, like the turn 90 degree is the algorithm, right? Without finding that algorithm, can that person write a program successfully?
No.
No, right? So when it comes to program also, you have to have two things. You have the programming knowledge, whatever the program. So if in your practicals you have the C++, then you have to learn the C++ as well as you have to learn the algorithm also, right? So algorithm means nothing, just your brain, your knowledge, how you think, right? So how you think to solve that issue. So when it comes to square, so you have some mathematics knowledge, right? Square means it have each angles, it has 90 degree. That's a mathematics knowledge, right? Without that knowledge, a person can't do a program, right? So that's why I already discussed the mathematics peoples, most of the mathematics peoples have the more programming knowledge rather than ICT peoples, right? So ICT people, we have 50-50, like the programming knowledge as well as management knowledge also. But when it comes to that programming people, they fully learn about, they learn lot of mathematics, right? So this is a simple one. So we in our school we learn that square has 90 degree. But likewise, when it comes to future, if you really want to write a full program, like a hard program, then you have to learn mathematics also, right? So in your first year, second year subjects, you will have the mathematics, right? So as I heard that your senior and other batches have little bit struggle in mathematics, right? So I can understand you are the people from the technological background, right? So which means you have some struggles when it comes to A level as well as O levels. You have some struggles in mathematics, right? But when it comes to university, you must who is this? So when it comes to mathematics, you have to learn, right? So rather than fed up, you have to learn and you have to put extra efforts to mathematics. Then if you put extra efforts on mathematics as well as programming only, you can write. Okay. So algorithm means which a step-by-step instruction for accomplishing that task. That is what we called as an algorithm, right? So in a computer program, the sequence structure directs the computer to process the program, right? So if you write a program to how to process, right? When it comes to computers, if you click the start button, it will start. If you click the turn off shutdown button, it will shut down, right? These tasks will instruct to the computer using the programming language, right? So we already, the Windows and other operating system, they have the programming, right? To turn off, shut down, that all the programs they have, right? So these computer programs sequence the structure, right? Sequence mean from the end to beginning to end, we have to sequence one by one. If you miss the sequence, then it will collapse your program, right? So in that previous lecture also, if you have the Scratch program, right? You can try. If you so that turning the 90 degree, if you first turning the 90 degree and then draw, it will collapse, right? So likewise, the sequence of the structure must be important when it comes to program, right? So in here, we have a robot, right? So this is a robot. So this is a leg, this is also a leg, this is the hand, and this is the body part, and this is the head part, right? So if you want to, so I give a program to assemble this robot. Assemble means you have to make this as a robot, right? So if I give a task like assemble this robot, then you have to start from beginning to end, right? So can we start? So for the first thing, what you have to do to assemble a robot? So in here we have 6 parts, right? So for the first thing, what you have to do?
The body part.
Head.
First head.
So that is based on, so if you want to go with the body part, then it will collapse, right? Computer needs sequence. Sequence means from the beginning to end, right? So I got the answers, body and head, right? So which is the correct? when it comes to sequence
Leg.
structure?
Leg.
Head.
Head is the correct, right?
Head.
Because the
Head.
sequence structure means we have to start from the beginning to end. So if you start from the body, you can assemble, right? But you have to think this is a computer, right? You have to instruct to a computer. When it comes to computer, if you think body and then head, it will connect like this. After the body, it will connect the head, right? You get the point, right? So when it comes to computers, you have to be careful because that is not a human. So you can't think like a friend, right? So you think after finishing the body part also we can fix the head, right? But that is not a human, right? So the computer is a machine. So if you instruct after the body pick the head, then it will assemble as a first body and then head likewise, right? So this is a collapse. So you have to think, that's why I told the sequence structure means from the beginning to end, step by step. So first thing you have to go with the head, right? So you have to attach the head. After that,
Body.
okay, after that body. Then
Can.
Hands.
Hands.
2 hands.
so if you finish the okay, hands, then fine. After that,
2 legs.
so when you write codes, you can't say to a computer 2 legs. So when you write codes, you have to say
Right.
right, left, and bottom, top. You have to use the correct words, right? So this is an algorithm. So now you are writing an algorithm. So you have to say attach a head, top of the body. Like the words you have to use is very, very important. That's because computer is a machine. You have to think, you can't just say attach the head, because you have to say attach the head, top of the body. Likewise, you have to say, right? So in here, you can see an example of a algorithm. Here, this is the algorithm, proper algorithm they use, right? So first thing, get one hand, one body, and one right arm. So you have to get. So without that, computer can't know attach. When we start to write attach, then computer confused because we didn't say to get, right? So you watch some films about robot, right? So computer also one robot. We have to say all the instructions very clearly. So without give the get instruction, if you can't start with the attach instruction, right? So first thing you have to get all the parts. So which means you have to introduce this is the leg, right leg. The correct words we have to use here. Get one head, one body, one right arm, one left arm, one right leg, and one left leg. So if you read, you may think this is a joke, right? So if we know that is one, that is left, that is right, but computer didn't know, right? You have to think computer didn't know anything. You have to insert. So for the first line, we have to introduce the computer. You have to get one head, one body, as well as one right, one left, right and left. I introduce in this line, right? So after that, if you use take one right arm, then computer know what is right arm, right? So the second thing, you have to start from the bottom to end. Attach the head to the top of the body. Then attach the leg to bottom right portion of the body. Then attach the left leg. So in here, left and right, you can change, right? So that is not no any issues, but you have to go with the sequence one by one, as well as you have to finish from start to end. right? So this is one algorithm. Algorithm is nothing. So when it comes to, this is a simple one. This is an algorithm. If you finish one programming instruction from a structure, then that is we called as a algorithm, right? So if I ask how to make a tea, in the chat, can you type and put how to make a tea? You have to think from the bottom to top, and you have to introduce first, right? So because computer don't know, so first you have to introduce what are the things you are going to use. Get like this, you have to write. So in the chat, please make that as everyone. So you have to put as everyone option the answer. So I will give 5 minutes. You have to put the sequence structure algorithm to how to make a tea. All of you can put. So the meeting is recorded. So after finishing, I can save the chat and I will see. So you can type all together, all the steps, like 1 step, 2 step, like all the steps at once, and send to the everyone. You can take boiling water rather than take a water and boil. You can take boiling water. Whoever get boiling water as a first, then computer didn't know within what instrument it has to take the boiling water. So you have to take a cup of boiling water. Likewise, you have to give. Whoever take the things, then you can, yeah, who's that? Wait, one person put that long paragraph. Put the tea bag. So first thing, who is that? 91. So you have to make the mistake like the example. So first thing, computer don't know what is a tea bag, what is a cup, what is the kettle, right? So you have to introduce, get the tea bag, get 1 tea bag, 1 cup of boiling water, 2 spoons of sugar, or spoon and sugar powder, tea powder. Likewise, you have to introduce. Then you can start to put the tea bag. So better to use tea bags, because when you introduce tea powder, then you have to think about filter, right? Without filter, you can't make, when you put tea powder, then you can't make tea without filter, right? You know the filter. Better to use tea bags. That's easy. So the register number 91, by little bit correction, but he will make some tea, right? Boil the water, pour some boiled water into the cup, add milk to the cup, add sugar, stir, drink. Okay, that person wants to add the first thing, get all the stuff, then that's fine. Others boiling, so whoever take the tea powder, you have to go further procedures like filtering your tea powder, likewise. Yeah. So 112 also write back in cup. So you that person also you have to introduce, get cups, spoons, likewise in the first. So like in the example, you have to introduce whatever the ingredients you are going to use as a get. Then you can go step by step. Because first thing you have to introduce the things to the computer, right? Without introducing computer, get tea bag cup, put the tea bag in the cup. So you didn't introduce the, okay, get the kettle. So that's fine. If you introduce within each step, that's also fine. Yeah, so I saw so many messages. You have to, so for the final thing is, first thing, you have to introduce all the things, or else you can use two steps. Like some person, yeah, who's that? Sanuka used, Sanuka, no, Viraj 113. That person introduce the things before using that things. That's also fine. You can introduce all the things before going to the steps, or else you can introduce the things before using that thing, right? First thing, tea bag and cup. He introduced only the tea bag and cup first, then he used those two. After that, he introduced likewise, but he failed to take the water. For boiled water, you have to introduce water, right? So small mistakes all the people have, but I think you get the idea, right? Sequence structure means from the bottom to end, you have to write, as well as you have to step by step. You can't move to the directly before introducing water, you can't move to the boil the water, right? Because computer know what is water. So for that, you have to introduce what is, get the water first, right? Then only you can go for the boiled water. Or else you can introduce directly without the kettle and the stuff, you can directly introduce computer, but take 1 cup of boiled water. That's totally fine, right? So this is the sequence. Okay, so wait. Next, the second control structure. Yes, you can stop. So we will move. Second control structure is selection or decision structure. So the name itself, it contains selection or decision structure means either you have, based on the condition, you have to make a decision, needs to be made. Rather than just going to the step by step, in here, in this section, in this structure, you have to think and do the stuff, right? So that is a selection and decision. You have to have some choices, right? So in here, earlier we have algorithms. In here we use conditions. Conditions mean based on that we have to take the decision, right? So in here, decision conditions contain, specify the decision that you must take, right? The conditions have two parts. Instructions identified in the, so if I ask some question, it has two parts, right? Either you know or else you don't know. If you know, I can continue other slide. If you don't know, I have to introduce, or I have to discuss, right? So this is when it comes to selection or decision structure. Rather than writing the step-by-step algorithm, in here, we have to stop at the condition, then we have to make the decision based on the condition. If that condition is true, we have some separate instruction to follow. If the condition is false, then we have to follow different instruction, right? So here, right? So earlier making teas and the assemble a robot, those are sequence structures. They don't need any conditions, right? If we don't need any condition because we have the task as assembled. In that we don't need to we don't need to make any decision. But in here, you can't drive a car in the main road continuously. Can you drive a car in the main road continuously without stop? Can you drive?
No.
No, because we
No,
have the signals, right? According to the signals only, we can make decisions, right? If that signal is red, green, yellow, we have some instruction. So based on that decision, that is the condition in here. Based on that condition only, we can make further decision. In here, we have drew parts, which means if that signal is green, we can go to one way, or if signal is red, we have to stop.
No.
Two different actions, right? So for that, we have the select. So in here, we are using selection structure or condition structure, right? So in here, first thing, approach the, so in here, the scenario is they approach, the car is approach the railway crossing, right? On that time, in the railway crossing, so this is not a signal one, right? So this is a railway crossing. So in the railway crossing, only two, if that is red signal, we can't go. If that is green signal, we can pass, right? So first thing, car is approaching the railway crossing. Second thing, condition. When we use condition, we have to use if, right? If and end if. Okay, two things we have to use. Wait. We have to use if. Within the bracket, you have to say something. Is okay. After that, if that is if the condition is true, you have some true part, right? True part means you have to write the codes here. Like normal sequence, you can write if that condition is true. If that condition is false, then you have to have a else part. So don't confuse. So for the moment, you can think the car is approached to the railroad, then there is a condition. If within the if bracket, you have to introduce the condition, right? Within the bracket only, you can introduce the condition. Within the bracket, the crossing signals are on. Condition is what? Crossing signals are on, right? That is the condition. So based on the condition, you have to think. There is two possibilities. If that is on, you can move. So if that is on, condition is only one part, only rule part only. You can't break the rules, right? Here. So the crossing signals are on. So we don't have any false part here, only the rule part. So if you have only rule part, then you can make, if you have to make the condition, then you have to introduce the sequence, like stop your car before crossing the railroad tracks, then wait for the rain to go by and crossing the signals to turn off. If the signal is turn off, then the car can move. If the car can move, then that selection is come to the end, right? After ending part, you can move like a sequence, right? Process with caution over the railroad tracks, right? In here, we have only true part, right? If we have scenarios, if we have true and false, then we have to go with the if, end if, and another end if also. So in normal signal, we have how many conditions we have? Normal signal. Normal road.
Three.
Three signals, right? Green, yellow, red, right? Three signals we have. So in that case, we can't directly end if. Sorry, end if no. Else. So if we have more conditions, then you have to go with if the signal light is, you have to give right signal light is green. Then you can move. In here, you have to write the roof parts. If signal light is green, you can go, right? So you car can move or cross the signal. So if we have another condition, you have to go with another else if rather than if. The first thing only you can use if, but when it comes to second condition, you have to use else if, because rather than that, you have to go with the else if. Else if is if signal is yellow. Yellow means I didn't familiar with that. So what do you mean by
Ready
yellow? We
ready
have to
to
wait, right?
go.
Ready to. So we can start
To ready.
the engine, or we can
Ready to go.
need to go, right? Ready to move, because we not, you can use we because we have to deal with the computer. So car can ready to move. So if you write in the gaming also, they write these kind of programs, right? So if you move that car, it will move. If you turn, so in the virtual reality games or something, they can use these scenarios, right? So we have another scenario here. So I use else if, another else if. So if you have only 3, the last else if, you can, you no need to use if, just
If.
else, right? In first condition, you must use only if. If we have other if condition, you can use else if, the final else part. Rather than this, we don't have anything, right? Only 3, right? So if final if part, else if part, you don't need to use if, just if the signal is red, then you have to wait. Car must stop or wait or something, right? So this is a selection. Based on the condition, we choose some instruction, right? If that condition success only, that instruction will allow. But in comes to sequence, there is no any condition. All the instruction will all the instruction will be followed by the computer. But when it comes to selection structure, in here the computer don't follow all the instruction. Based on the condition only, it states which instruction it has to follow, right? So in this case, we are using selection structure, right? So we have the control structure 3 types. First one is sequence structure. Second one is selection structure. So sequence structure means from the start to end, you have to follow step-by-step guides. Selection structure, you may don't want to follow all the instruction, but based on the condition, you can follow the instruction, right? If the condition is success, you want to follow something. If the condition is fail, you won't follow any other things, right? So this is a selection structure explanation, right? So the next condition, wait. Okay. Sorry. So in here, you can see this is a superhero, right? So this is a villain, right? So villain mean the anti-hero or something, right? So the superhero have some conditions or tasks to follow, right? So in here, he wants to first he wants to shoot that villain, right? So for that, you have that super. This is a small gaming interface, right? So for the small children, they introduce a gaming interface. So this is a superhero character they introduce. So if that superhero is shoot the villain, he have to shout got him. Or if he miss to shoot the villain, then he has to shout missed him, right? So for that, this is the conditional structure they used to write. Okay. First thing, he wants to use his arm to shoot, right? So raise your right arm. Then he wants to aim and shoot the villain. If the villain was hit, he has to say got him, right? Else say missed him. In here, we don't have the else if because we only have one else part, right? Did you get my point? If
Yes,
we
ma'am. Yes.
if we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
only one root part and else part, then you don't need to write else if. Just else is enough, right? If we have three condition, then for the first condition you have to start with if. Second condition also you have to put else if. The final condition you don't need to put if, you just put else, right? So in here else he has to say miss him, and the you have to end the condition. If you end the condition only, you can go with the sequence, right? So in here the sequence are 1, 2, 4. Within the 3 there is 2 instruction, but you have to do only one instruction, right? So based in here we have 4 instruction. So the based on the condition only we have to do only one instruction, right? If that if he hit, he has to say got him or else miss him, right? So you have to end the sequence. Sorry, end the condition structure. Otherwise, you can't mingle with the sequence, right? So you have to start and you have to end the condition. In here only we have the conditional structure part, right? Others are sequence. So in this program, we have 2 structures. What are those structures? We have used 2 control structures in this program. What are those structures? Conditional structures.
Sequence,
Conditional
selection.
Sequence,
Sequence and selection. Right, very good. So these are the first 2 conditional structures. The last one is very, very important. So when it comes to programs, mostly this is the part where you confuse, right? So this structure we call repetition structure or repetition structure, whatever the you want. Major thing is this instruction we have to repeat until one condition meet. Earlier thing, selection or condition, they stage. If condition is success or condition is unsuccessful, you can go either success only one instruction. You have to repeat if that is unsuccessful. You have to repeatedly do and make the condition successful, right? Then you have to in here you have to work as a loop or iteration. The words are important. So in here we called as a loop or iteration. The normal terms, loop means you have to do same thing again and again, right? Loop means that when you do the same instruction again and again. Iteration also same. So repetition structure, we have to do the instruction repeatedly until it gets the condition met, right? So this is one example to the repetition structures, right? So the first thing is making cake. Did you bake any cake in your home? So if you have that experience, so most of the time that baker need to mix the egg and margarine and the powder and other stuff. They have to put it in the bowl and then they have to mix it repeatedly. So when you use a machine bowl, that beakers, the current beakers, you have to have some time or you have to have the interval to mix it. Then only it will get correct format, right? So in here, like same scenario. So first thing, you have to combine all the ingredients, then repeat how many times. If you are very experienced in the cake baking, then you know how many times you have to mix. Or else you can say continuously 5 minutes you have to bake. So continuously 5 minutes, you have to stir the ingredients, right? Then if that condition is still didn't meet the actual ingredient procedure, then you have to repeat that again and again, right? So these kind of scenario, you can use repetition structure. So in the second also, so in here also you have to check whether the ingredients are mixed well, and you have to again you have to repeat the 10 times. You have to repeat. After that, you have 2 minutes. So this is making a cake. So first time you have to repeat same 10 times. Then if after that also, if that ingredients didn't stay correctly, then you have to make that more time, right? 2 minutes or something, right? So these kind of tasks, when it's come to these kind of tasks, you have to use repetition structure, right? It's all clear.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So in here, wait. So we don't. So in next lecture, you have to come up with 3 example, like you have to write like this, right? So, or else I will give. First, for the one example is you have to, you can take, I don't know whether you are family or not. Can you make milk rice? Or else you can ask from your mothers. You have to write for the sequence. You have to write a proper structure. Like earlier I used first you have to get all the ingredients. If you have to introduce, then you have to make the step by step. So ask from your mothers, whoever don't know. You have to write. You have to submit in the classroom. I will open an assignment. You have to write it in the Word document, right? You know, right? You are familiar with Word?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So in the Word document, put first task 1. Then you have to write the sequence structure for making a milk rice. Okay. Second, for the selection, you have to make okay, for the selection, there is university like A, B, C, D. 4 universities there, right? A, B, C, D. So if your GPO, SAT score, if your SAT score is, so I don't, wait. A university, you have 3.7, more than 3.7, then you can choose the A university. B university, more than 3.3. The C university, more than 2.7. Other GPA, SAT score, you have to choose university D, right? So this is the second condition. You have to write the end if else using that condition, right? The third task is repeatedly you have to do, right? So the third task,
Result sheet A, B, C, D.
no, that is you can't do repeatedly, right? So that is condition. You have to make the condition, then write. There is a tree, right? In here there is a tree, and here there is a grandpa. So within the tree and grandpa, there is a child, okay? So for the grandpa and child, it has 10 steps. And tree and child, it has 5 steps. Okay, so you have to write a program to first thing, the child need to go to the tree and come to that same place, then go to the grandpa and come to the same place. Okay, did you get? So first question, how to make milk rice. So you can put, you can open a Word and put the task 1, task 2, task 3. For the task 1, you have to say how to make milk rice, right? For the task 2, you have to choose the university based on your SAT score. If in the chat I put, right? If your chat score is 3.7, so for that you have to first get what? For the SAT score, first you have to get
Result sheet.
SAT score, yeah. You can just write get your SAT score, right? So you have to get the SAT score, then only you can use the condition. If that is above 3.7, then you have to choose A university. Above 3.3, B university. Above 2.7, C. And other SAT scores, you can choose D university. That is for the selection structure. The last one is, there is a tree, there is a grandpa, middle of them, there is a child, right? So first thing, within the tree and child, it has 5 steps of child. Using child's leg, within 5 steps, he or she can reach the tree. As well as within 10 steps, he can reach the grandpa. Your task is, the child need to go to the tree, which means 5 steps to left and right you have to use, right? 5 steps to left or right. Then from the tree to original place, 5 steps again. You have to use accurately left, right, okay? Then the child needs to go to 10 steps right or left. Then from there, child needs to come 10 steps back. Is that okay? This one you have to use the repeat. So I will share this slide in the classroom. So you can refer the examples we already discussed, and you can do these stuffs. And I will open this as an sample exercise in the Google Classroom, you have to submit the Word file. Okay, I will share the recording as usual in the classroom. So you have to do this. Okay?
Madam,
Yes.
do we need to draw it like a flowchart or just write?
Yes,
enter?
right. Like this. You can
Like this.
write.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay,
so
miss.
the next class I will probably take in the Wednesday, next Wednesday. So until then, you have to practice these stuff. So I will inform the lecture time. Okay. So you have to submit this exercise in the Google Classroom. Okay. So I will upload the recording as well. So don't worry. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, miss.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.